Can you be good without God?
Of course you can. Don't be a moron.
The question isn't, can you be good without believing in God? The question is, can you be good without God? See, here's the problem. If there is no God, what basis remains for objective good or bad, right or wrong?
It's called logic from first principles. I have a lot of it laid out in my video, Libertarianism and Property Rights from First Principles, where I show that acts of aggression absolutely cannot be justified. And it's not like I'm doing anything new. Once again, we see that with religious morons like William Lane Craig, just like with political morons, they haven't taken 10 minutes out of their stupid, pathetic lives to read up on the basics. They just learned the things that their echo chamber shares and nothing else.
If God does not exist, objective moral values do not exist.
If you're talking about God-given morality, then your morality is subjective, not objective. It's still the product of someone's arbitrary opinion. It's just God's opinion instead of yours. The only way out of this is to say that God is moral by his nature. But if that's the case, if you have truly objective morality, then that morality exists outside of God, and it can be discovered independently. You just eliminate the middleman.
Without some objective reference point, we have no way of saying that something is really up or down.
Other than basic logic. These logical principles are true whether God exists or not, whether we exist or not, whether the universe exists or not. They're as real and as objective as 2 + 2 = 4.
God's nature provides an objective reference point for moral values. It's the standard against which all actions and decisions are measured.
Like what? Human sacrifice? Genocide? Infanticide? Bigotry? Incest? Mass destruction of entire cities? And even of all of the humans and animals on the planet except for a few on a boat?
But if there's no God, there's no objective reference point. All we're left with is one person's viewpoint, which is no more valid than anyone else's viewpoint.
Except for that whole logic stuff again, but you religious morons really hate that, don't you?
Subjective morality applies only to the subject. It's not valid or binding for anyone else. So, in a world without God, there can be no evil and no good. Nothing but blind, pitiless indifference.
Except acts which violate a deontological system of universally applicable ethics derived logically from first principles.
God has expressed his moral nature to us as commands.
Like when he commanded that adulterers be put to death? Or sleeping with someone who isn't an Israelite? Or backtalks his parents?
God's essential attribute of love is expressed in his command to love your neighbor as yourself.
So, was that the essential attribute being expressed when he sent she-bears to tear a bunch of kids limb from limb for making fun of a bald guy?
And we can condemn as objectively evil greed, abuse, and discrimination.
Really? How do you figure that, given that God exhibits all of these traits himself throughout the Old Testament and even into the New Testament, and even commands his followers to act on it?
This raises a problem. Is something good just because God wills it, or does God will something because it is good? The answer is neither one.
The only way it can be neither one is if God doesn't exist. So thanks for coming over to our side, Craig.
Rather, God wills something because he is good.
But why is he good? You just evaded the question by putting the question itself in your conclusion. It's a bit like if I asked you why vegetables are good for you, and you answered that you should eat your vegetables because they're good for you. You haven't answered the question. Either goodness is a completely arbitrary measurement of whatever God says or does, or it's objective, meaning that it's independent of God. There really is no way around this, and it's embarrassing that you'd continue on this course given the number of people who have pointed out this problem to you.
God is the standard of moral values, just as a live musical performance is the standard for a high-fidelity recording.
Why don't you go ask any audio engineer why you're a moron?
The more a recording sounds like the original, the better it is. Likewise, the more closely a moral action conforms to God's nature, the better it is.
Except, like with the audio recording, you're missing all sorts of aspects, like looking at the equalization or methods of mixing different instruments together so that they complement each other better. Audio engineers use these tools to make audio sound better than the live performance. That's why they record the instruments one by one instead of just recording the band playing together. By the same token, we use deontological ethics to determine a far superior morality than your psychopathic, narcissistic, megalomaniacal God exhibits in your Bible.
But if atheism is true, there is no ultimate standard. So there can be no moral obligations or duties.
We have no positive obligations or duties, this is true. And this is another reason why the so-called morality in your Bible is nothing of the kind. But we do have negative obligations, not to aggress against others. And not only do we not need your Bible for it, we need that system of ethics to tell us ignore those parts of your Bible telling us to do it.
Remember, for the atheist, humans are just accidents of nature.
You complete and total idiots repeat this like a mantra, even though it's completely meaningless drivel. It's just a load of claptrap that you use to poison the well. If you really had true morality on your side, why would you behave like that? Why would you need to? Or is the reason why you need to the same thing that makes you cling to your pathetic Bronze Age mythology? That you need to feel all special because you don't have any other way of feeling that you have value as a person? Because I gotta tell you, that's kinda depressing.
Our moral experience convinces us that moral values are objectively real. Every time you say, "Hey, that's not fair, that's wrong, that's an injustice," you affirm your belief in the existence of objective morals.
Huh, so we don't need God to do that. Thanks for defeating your own argument.
We're well aware that child abuse, racial discrimination, and terrorism are wrong for everybody, always.
Despite your Bible saying over and over again that it's righteous to do so.
The man who says that it is morally acceptable to rape little children is just as mistaken as the man who says 2 + 2 = 5.
Exactly! And like 2 + 2 = 4, we can discover this through a strict logical progression. No need for God.
If God does not exist, objective moral values and duties do not exist.
But you just showed that they do!
Atheism fails to provide a foundation for the moral reality every one of us experiences every day.
Atheism is simply the non-belief in God. The process of coming up with a system of deontological ethics is completely different. Craig knows this. That's why he framed it that way.
In fact, the existence of objective morality points us directly to the existence of God.
No, but this video objectively points us directly to you being a nincompoop. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, why not hit like and subscribe? And to make sure I can keep producing content, support this channel by becoming a patron. And check out all the other great content here, like this video selected especially for you.